Hi there, everyone. Welcome to a series that I call Series Talk, where I talk about the series that I'm currently writing and hopefully will be publishing within the next couple of years. Today I wanted to talk about my vampire and werewolf series. I have lovingly dubbed it HXS, which is Hunter X Slayer. Now, the reason I've called it that is because in the vampire world, their police force-ish thing, they're called hunters. They're part of a group called the Hunters Conclave, and they are the ones that basically are sent out to hunt down rogue vampires, which are vampires that have broken the Vampire Council's laws, or some semblance of that. And they also hunt down these things called breeds. Breeds are basically failed vampires. If during the turning process it is not completed, the person who's going through the process will turn into a breed. And breeds are energy sucking creatures. They are extremely photosensitive. They cannot have any amount of sunlight. They can, however, possess mortals, and then they can use them as meat suits. But depending on how strong the mortal is, they will start to basically degrade very rapidly. And in the Hunter X Slayer series, you also have the werewolves. Their police force are called the Slayers. They are not as old as the Hunters Conclave is, but the Slayers are a relatively new one. They are controlled primarily through what's called the Alpha Body. The Alpha Body is very much like the House of Representatives. Every state in the United States gets a representative. Now, mind you, the Vampire Council and the Hunters Conclave is actually worldwide, so they have a lot more reach. Werewolves have been primarily regulated to the United States because of their antagonistic behavior towards the council, and then the council's rather superiority complex towards the Slayers. Toward the Alpha Body specifically. And the Alpha Body works with this group of werewolves who have taken on their ranks to be able to regulate the feral werewolves that do come out from when their turning process happens. I haven't done too much in depth for the turning process for them, but it's a lot more spiritual than what the vampire turning process is, which is definitely more medical. Excuse me. Ooh, I got burps going on. But with this series, I wanted to focus more on the relations between the hunters and the slayers. So a lot of the characters are going to have some kind of connection to one or the other. The first one with the hunter and the cultist features a hunter. The second book, The Spy and the Slayer, features a slayer. And then it's going to go from there. And it's basically kind of a slice of life into their world. Them finding, if they're a vampire, them finding their life mate. And then if they're a werewolf, finding their true mate, which is basically the same thing. And I already have probably about 20 or so couples loosely planned out. I at least have the pairings that I want. And I do have more that are coming because of writing the first book and then starting the second book. So I already have a bunch that I've already thought of. And if anyone is kind of looking for something very similar to what I'm doing as far as the format goes, Lindsay Sands' Argenu books. I think that's how you pronounce them. There's like almost 30 of them now. And basically, it is all part of maybe 1, 2, 3 families, all connected, and it's literally each one of them finding their happily ever after. And that's kind of the vein that I'm going with for this. And this is an idea that I actually came up with a long time ago with a couple of my roleplay partners. And originally it was just going to be straight vampires. And then I was talking to a couple of my friends, and one of them suggested, hey, why don't you add werewolves? And I'm like, huh, I could do that. So then the Slayers started coming up. And this is by far the oldest idea that I've had for my writing stories. It was one that I knew that I was going to end up doing, but I didn't have a whole lot. Right now, I only have one that I'm working. I started a second one after I'd finished the first one with just the first draft, but I realized that the first draft of that needed real work, and the story for number 2 definitely needed work. It needed a lot of work. But one thing that really kind of makes me really interested in this one is also because I have kind of dipped my toes a little bit into religion building. I'll talk more about the religion in my series talk about the Hunter and the Cultist, but this has given me opportunity to really kind of look into how religion is built and how I can do it where it's not like, I'm trying to remember which author it was that is really heavy into religion. I think it's Brandon Sanderson. I think he does religion. I know Tolkien was languages and Rothfuss was the economics, but I want to say it may have been Sanderson who was very much into religion. But I don't want to go too deep into it because, again, I'm not a religious person myself. But I do find certain aspects of religion to be very fascinating, and what they bring to different people of different faiths. So that's kind of what I'm enjoying dabbling in so far. I wanted to have one for the vampires and then one for the werewolves, so it's kind of a mirror image of each other. And so far I only have one. But that's an ongoing process because world building takes forever. If you want help with world building, I highly recommend on YouTube, his handle is Hello Future Me, Timothy. He is super knowledgeable. I actually bought his book on writing and world building, and it's basically like his YouTube videos with extra. And it is fascinating. It is a fascinating read. So that's all I really have right now for the Hunter X Slayer series. But I do have more that's coming. But right now, because I only have the first book that I'm working on, I don't have much to talk about with it. I do know that I have so much world build for this. With how the vampires work and how the werewolves kind of work and all this information that it's like, I can't bore you all with that kind of information. If you're interested in listening to that, I'd happily just kind of splooge all over you with all this information that I have. Because a lot of it is really fascinating to me about how a world works. And if anyone is interested in that, just let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to do a video just on my world building for it. But that kind of is where I leave it for today. So thank you for coming to this series talk, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!